Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about my ongoing story of H. pylori, gastritis. I'm going to talk about my symptoms and the story of how I got diagnosed and how I'm dealing with it right now. I really hope none of you all have it, and I hope all of you are doing good, because I'm unfortunately not doing that good. It is something that no one should have, and I really hope you guys don't have it. I also. So without further ado, let me get started with it. So basically about 3 months ago, I ordered some house food. I didn't trust the state of it that much, but I had it anyways. The chicken was a bit weird, but I only like half a piece of it. About 5 hours after eating them, I literally had a burning sensation in the neck, feeling like I was about to throw up. That was really creepy itself, and I knew that that kind of sensation was not normal. My stomach and neck were heating at the same time. I felt like my stomach was stirring, basically. For about 5 hours, the sickness was at its peak. I felt really nauseous, was constantly getting that same vomiting sensation in the neck. I could not keep going. Water or lemon. I felt like so dizzy, and I felt weak, and I felt like it was just my head was moving, my brain was moving or spinning. That was quite crazy. So the whole day I felt pretty much unwell. The next day, on the other hand, I did feel much better than that. I had a nice sleep. Thought I was on the right path forward. I thought I was recovering from food poisoning or stomach bug. And it did really scare me last night that yeah, this is the first time I've probably ever gotten a stomach bug or food poisoning. It was just quite scary. It's something that really nobody wants to have. I've seen people on YouTube bitch about it all the time. I even went to the laptop store later that day. I thought I was on the right path, that is. So that was good. So the next day I felt even better. I felt like 70% better or 80% better. I thought I was just about to recover though, but I was not 100% better though, okay? Basically off for the past 2 days I was eating bland food. Also had a bit of non-bland at the same time. And, see, I was obviously really impatient to go back to eating normal food because bland food is not something people are eating. Of course, you know what I mean. And then basically I wanted to have chocolate at 8 p.m, thinking that I was mostly better. I knew that I was not 100% better, but I saw it anyways. So I had 3 chocolates at 8 p.m, then 1 hour. Later, my body reacted exactly almost like how it did on the first day on day 1 itself. I cannot believe the same episode happened again. It was kind of like a panic attack for me also. And that was the first time I actually became kind of afraid to eat my favorite food or, anything that's not bland. Yeah, I cannot believe that actually happened to me for the first time in my life. Being afraid to eat favorite food. That's arguably the worst part about this story, arguably. So yeah, I could not sleep that night, and I had to skip my dinner the next day. I did feel a lot like it was a stomach bug only, so I decided to go to my GP. Okay, he checked my stomach and he was like, stomach bug. So he gave a medicine for the stomach, another medicine for the nausea and vomiting, and then an antibiotic. He prescribed the antibiotic for 5 days. So the next day I felt kind of normalish. I even went to a mall and a laptop store that's about 30 minutes away from me. I thought I was on the right, but I knew that I was. My life wasn't normal at the moment. So even after 5 days of completing that antibiotic course, I was actually still not better. I was maybe 80% better, but I was still not completely better. Then now my GP does not really have the good attitude. He's kind of rude and abrupt too at times. So I was explaining to him that I'm not completely better. He just that wrote this one more medicine just for digestion. He just stared at me and he said, all the best. And he indirectly asked me to get out. He thought I was coming to him for a petty thing. He was like, yeah, you could eat normal food. You can eat normal food. You were just a young boy. Okay then, we left his office. I felt extremely hopeless because my body only knew that I was not feeling better, but I mean completely better. But my doctor's you can eat normal food and all that stuff. I was my family thought that was the truth and yeah, I cannot believe this. I just felt so hopeless that night. But afterwards, I called my uncle. At this point, it's been 10 to 15 days since I've been having my discomfort. He said that. He said that it's definitely GERD. He told me go to a good gastroenterologist and do the endoscopy as soon as you can. The next day we went to a gastroenterologist. So basically this was about anywhere from 10 to 15 days after my so-called stomach bug. Okay, he basically spoke with really calmly, and I feel he just spoke out of overconfidence, and really a not very serious thought. He was just it's we just post-infection got sensitive. I heard what post-infection got sensitive is from ChatGPT only. I thought that's what I had. So, he basically just said, so, since you'll be needing light food for 10 to 15 days, your tolerance to heavy food went from high to low. So solely increase that tolerance by slowly adding a normal food and don't pay attention to the symptoms. Now, my gut was telling me that that is so definitely not true. That just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so. He overconfidently said, it's not good. I told my uncle that, and he actually bought that completely. He thought, okay, I don't have GERD. So basically after that gastroenterologist appointment, I tried to go back to a regular food. I had a small Pizza Hut, sliced pizza, and a bit of garlic bread. Thankfully, nothing happened that actually felt like I said half my problem was solved just because I could finally eat a pizza. So then the next day, I did feel literally 90% normal actually. I had some coffee and I had half a pastry. Here, Thankfully, nothing happened. I literally thought I beat the infection because I felt 90% better. I was at a shop to get some stuff that day. Then the next day I had coffee again and some potato chips and homemade chicken curry, not spicy. And for lunch I had some outside pizza and some French fries. Unfortunately, about 40 minutes later, I felt like I was about to puke. And then 2 hours later, I think like another episode, just like day one, happened again. So those 2 hours were extremely rough and anxious and scary. I thought there was like just not that much hope for this. But I completely knew that my gastroenterologist was wrong. My gastroenterologist, like I'm that same appointment, was like I should go to a counselor. Why the hell would anyone go to a counselor for a medical issue? Yes, I felt so hopeless that day. I did not know how I was going to get better on the same day I found out it's probably likely because of the antibiotics, and not better because antibiotics disrupt normal gut flora or gut microbiome, whatever you call it. Yeah, because it kills off good bacteria also, but it's required to get rid of infections. I thought I had to wait weeks to feel better. So basically, before also this episode happened, I went to my family friend, who was actually a pediatrician. She prescribed a couple of medicines like Digene, Dolo enzyme tablet, digestion tablet, something like that. Okay, but we didn't take them because we've already taken a lot of medicines. So we were taking the medicines that my gastroenterologist prescribed. Each had different duration. And, basically about 4 days after taking it, I decided to go to my other GP that I know. Yeah, and basically she checks my stomach and says the base infection is not completely cleared. She prescribed me 2 medicines and 2 tests. Yeah. And I was actually feeling like 80% fine that day. I mean, like, I just wonder how this fluctuates a lot. Yeah. And also that day with the second GP, that was actually the 3rd week after getting my first episode. And yet Google says that my family said food poisoning is only supposed to be for 1 day. Like, how? How on earth can you have it for longer than that? Google says maximum 10 days, and it's basic medical knowledge that food poisoning is only supposed to be 4. It's a temporary thing. I was just wondering so much how I could still be feeling those symptoms despite being 3 weeks after it. And like other people that I've known that got food poisoning, like worse food poisoning case than I thought I had, like they got back to normal food in just a few days. I was just wondering so much. How is that possible? Yeah. So basically the day when I started to take the medicine, now my TV gave me, I stopped the gastro medicine. Basically I just felt really sick that day. I once again had an episode like day 1 out of nowhere. I didn't even have any trigger food, and I had an episode like day 1. I cannot believe that happened. Once again, another scared, anxious, and hopeless day. I had that day. I felt so sick throughout the day, felt burning sensations in my stomach, and felt like I was going to faint. I felt like I could puke any minute. So basically every day has been nauseous. Some stomach discomfort. I would feel like, my head, like sweating out of nowhere, body sweating. I don't know where I would have like a dry mouth, swallowing urge. Dry mouth doesn't like having to constantly sip water. It was just so irritating. Like you basically just feel sick. That's the easiest way to describe it. You can just Google what feeling sick is, and it's basically similar to that only. Yeah, so after a bit, like I was even Googling that. I've had food poisoning a few weeks ago, and haven't had a single day without symptoms, haven't had a single day without nausea. Google immediately alerted me saying that that is not common, and you have to go see your doctor right now. The doctor wasn't even surprised that I had symptoms, but Google was like, you can just look at that, really. So basically after like 6 days, I think I went to that GP again for a follow-up appointment, and the thing is, both the tests that she prescribed the reports came out normal. So she completely dismissed me being like, you are just stressed. The reports are normal, there's no infection, you are just stressed. She's like, I'm not going to prescribe you any more medicine. She's like, I've had 15 to 20 patients coming to me with food poisoning, and not a single one has told me the things that you are telling me that was. She's just being very rude. I felt treated like a child. Honestly, I would not forgive her for that, for being very dismissive and rude to me. She didn't. She, on the other hand, didn't mind giving me a prescription for CBC, LFT, CRP ultrasound tests. Those are also blood tests. Yeah. So yeah, we did. After that appointment we went to the hospital just to do the blood test. The reports came out the next day. And that GB also told me I take him for me to go to a counselor. It's so irritating when a doctor ever says go to a counselor. Like, what kind of a doctor says go to a counselor for physical issues? That doesn't make any sense. ChatGPT but told me many times that it's definitely a physical issue and your doctors are being really dismissive. So yeah, unfortunately, the blood tests and even the ultrasound came on normal. I was surprised. Well, after that, GP avoided. I just felt like once again just feeling so hopeless. Yeah, I almost every day was just a nausea, like more or less the same. Basically every day felt like anywhere from 50 to 80% better than day 1. Every day is a fluctuation between those 2 percentages. Some days I may feel 60% better. Some days I may feel 80. Some days I might not feel really sick. Yeah, this pattern was just constantly continuing. There's so many times when I thought that I beat the infection over the food. What? Oh, wait. So again, I spoke to an online gastroenterologist. He basically kind of actually guessed the condition correctly. Gastritis. He prescribed a lot of medicines, which I did not take because we already taken a lot of medicine. So basically, after a couple of days, we went to a gastroenterologist in person in the city. He's actually a really good one. He's even a gastrosurgeon, but unfortunately even he failed to diagnose it properly. So he touched my stomach and he said, "There's an imbalance in the gut." I think that's what he said. So then he gave me like 4 different medicines prescribed, and one of them was an antibiotic for 10 days. Okay, unfortunately no real improvement, even after his medicine. And on the day I went, boom, I actually felt like 70% better. And that was also the first time it was becoming like easier to keep water down or fluids down. I thought that I was improving, but unfortunately that was definitely not the case. I called him a few days later. He said, "Finish taking my medicine and then get back to me." So basically we went to another gastro that's closer to me. I went because I just needed another opinion so bad, and I just wasn't feeling well. You can see in this pattern that many days where you feel almost normal. You literally feel sick again. Like my GP was like the second GP. She was just so confused. "What the hell do you mean, on and off nausea? What? What is this on and off? You're just stressed to go to a counselor, he needs help." That's what you said to me. I want to sue that BTCH like anything so basically. So I got our gastroenterologist, and the third one was like, "Yeah, everything is normal, I'm just going to prescribe you these 3 medications." He prescribed us exactly the same as the second gastroenterologist. And he literally told me, like the biggest lie possible, saying that if 0.01% something was wrong with you, it would have shown your blood reports. Like, could you actually fucking believe them? I know, that's like so absurd to hear that. So he prescribed the same thing. So what I thought that day was that, what if some of that Chinese food that I had on day 1 was still in my stomach or something? Again, I'm new to this biology kind of stuff, so don't blame me for not knowing this, what all toxins would come out within 72 hours. So basically we were taking his medicine, and we were not noticing much improvement. We decided to reconsult that same third gastroenterologist. But before that, we went to another GP that actually lives in my apartment. Okay, see, you prescribed me some other medicines, also. At least she was more acknowledging that I had an issue, unlike the gastro take. I was taking the medication that my second gastroenterologist told me to do, and we followed up with my GP a bit later. She abruptly went like, "If you're not taking my medicine, what help do you want from me?" Basically, see what she then said, "Let's do this. Let's just do the endoscopy." She's a GP, but she actually works at a gastro hospital. So basically, she already prescribed us an endoscopy. It's really a shock that GP prescribed me an endoscopy, but not a single gastroenterologist. Could you actually believe? That she also told us on WhatsApp that like we need to rule out H. pylori infection. Like the fact that, my God, no gastro told me this, but my GP told me that. And also I did try taking a H. pylori test at home. But unfortunately it came out negative. That was like a few weeks ago. She immediately said that it's not conclusive at times, it's not always easy to detect at home. But the other GP would have been like, "You have to report as normal. That means you don't have Happy Lori, such a waste she is." So yeah, it's been about 5 weeks at this point. We decided to go back to that third gastroenterologist. She knows him. Actually, that third gastroenterologist, they know each other. So like, when I was telling him that I'm still experiencing symptoms, he goes to me like, "I think you are stressed out. I want you to get a psychiatrist opinion afterwards." I managed to convince him a little bit, but then he was like, "I want a psychiatrist opinion." Also, that was just so mean and dismissive, like he's really not believing me. I felt treated like a child. So yeah, he also prescribed an endoscopy too. What's sedation now? After a lot of thinking, I decided to just do the endoscopy. Yeah, like we talked to my family friend pediatrician on the phone when I was telling her that I'm still experiencing symptoms. She goes like, "Go to a counselor. Endoscopy is not required, but for your satisfaction, you can do it if you want." My first gastroenterologist I followed up with also saying that I'm still experiencing symptoms. Well, he does prescribe endoscopy and takes it a bit more seriously. Even prescribed colonoscopy. Also, we decided to finally take the endoscopy because it's been 5 weeks and I'm still not better. And basically, but I know, but he also said it kind of himself that like he thinks that I just think that I'm unwell. Yeah, I am actually mostly fine and like take your mind off of things, but I was really unhappy to hear that because only I know how I'm feeling. Like my family friend pediatrician, she was the first one who said only he knows how he's feeling. But then afterwards, because of the blood test reports, he goes like, things that I'm fine, and I'm just worrying so much, and I need to go to a counselor now. Definitely, yes. There was a lot of overthinking in the